All right, we're live.
All
It's
right.
never gonna get normal doing these lives when we first started off. How's it going, everyone?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we got a couple people in here. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When we first start, it is always a little awkward.
Yeah, here we go. We're getting them rolling in. We'll tweet it. Make sure to hit the like button as you're rolling in. Let's get this stream going here in a second. We're just gonna let some people come in. We're tweeting things out. It's game day, bro. How are you feeling this morning?
Yes, man. It feels pretty good. It's been a long time since you know the last Nebraska game. Obviously, it's just been a year, but I feel like I don't know. There's just something about this rivalry that really appreciate, and I can't wait to see what this team can do on the road. That's what I'm really excited about. I want to see what they can do on the road.
Oh yeah,
I,
I think that's really the biggest thing with it being first road game of the season. You kind of want these guys. You want to see these guys juiced like from the beginning. You
mm-hmm.
can't have a slow start like we did last week. Same, Michael. I, Brum's on the other end of this side of this coin though, so maybe Brum can expect
Yeah.
it. Can describe why he's so confident about today's game.
Yeah, first I got to shout out T1000. We appreciate you've been part of our membership for 2 months, so definitely good morning. Um, Honestly, I feel like for this game, I get the whole being nervous, and granted, it's a rivalry game, and you can either way. Um, it's I could see it going either way, but at the end of the day, I think Venables is gonna. He's taught his team what this rivalry means because most of these kids do not know, and they probably didn't really understand the importance going into last year's game with the previous staff, in my opinion. And I think they're going to be motivated. I mean, you're going to get to play in front of 90,000 fans that are pretty much most of them are all against you. I think this offensive line should gel today, and they're going to try to win in the trenches, and I think they can. And this defense, this Nebraska defense, is bad. The
Oh, it's very bad.
secondary is horrendous, and Dylan Gabriel, as long as he gets time, should be able to pick him apart. There's enough talent in the wide receiver room where you shouldn't have any issues. Granted, I understand that you know I might be oversimplifying the game. I just don't see Nebraska being able to, as long as we bottle up Grant, and I don't think Casey Thompson has the talent around him like he did against Texas, or like when he was at Texas, what he did to us last year. I just don't think. Um, I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, and Elijah, I think that I'm saying that name right, brings up a good point. It is an old rivalry. I think that's why it is going to be tough. I think Nebraska fans are going to show up for this. A lot of OU fans seem to be up in Lincoln right now too, so it's going to be a packed stadium. Um, Hopefully the players understand it because most of them probably didn't really grow up watching this rivalry. I mean, I'm old enough to have seen it, but I did not grow up in like a college football family, so it's not like it really means much to me outside of after attending Oklahoma, every rivalry. Obviously, I want to win, but you kind of have to like have that established. I'm sure Venables has been going over that stuff all week with the guys, saying like this means something to the fans, especially fans that have been following the program for a long time now. You know, the older generation has a bigger hatred for Nebraska than probably you or I would. Even if you did, I'm sure you did watch some of those old Nebraska games in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I can't act like I've watched every single OU Nebraska game, and I didn't grow up, in an era where it was the biggest game of the year, back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. I watched some of the, early 2000s games, but that was about it as far as, being a part of it. T1000 brings up a good point. Not only, I think we talked about this on Wednesday's show or Friday's show, but there are implications for recruits in this game. Malachi Coleman was supposed to go visit USC this weekend, officially canceled it. He's from Lincoln. He's going to go watch the OU Nebraska game. I think this does have implications on his recruitment. I think OU rolls in, takes care of business. And CE just commented Coleman commits on Monday. That'd be pretty shocking to me. I mean, I know his date currently is October 22nd, but I do think that if OU takes care of business, I think you'll see him visit officially to Oklahoma quickly after this game. And I know he hasn't officially done it, and OU's still waiting to set up his official. But I really think that if OU can come in and take care of business, that I think OU's in the driver's seat for this guy. And it's kind of hard to believe that back-to-back years, OU's taking Caden Helms, and you've got Cade McIntyre in this class, and then potentially Malachi Coleman. We're finally being able to go into Nebraska and take their best recruits.
Definitely. And we talked about the question towards the end of CE's comment here. Why would he commit somewhere that doesn't have a head coach at the moment? We kind of talked about it, and I brought up, a possibility. It just depends on how much he wants to stick to that October 22nd date. If he's okay with pushing it back, because the fact that Nebraska is still part of, the competition here for his commitment, to me, it means that staying close to home is something that he values, because it's not like Nebraska's put out a good product on the field to be like, all right, I could see myself playing there, right? So if he's super committed to sticking to the October 22nd date, then I think Oklahoma's without a doubt the place where he will land. If there's ever any rumblings of him potentially moving that back to December or late November to see what Nebraska is going to do with the head coaching situation, then Nebraska really it's their recruit to lose. They would have to hire someone that just is not compatible with Malachi. It would be a bad fit. Whatever it is, I think there is the other side there for Nebraska. If maybe even Mikey Joseph, if he looks good and they entertain the idea of bringing him on as the full-time head coach, maybe that's someone that Malachi really has a close relationship with, and he wants to wait for that announcement to happen.
Yeah, someone definitely we're going to keep an eye on. But as far as this game goes, we're talking a little bit about it. I think we talked about it in our first episode, or not first episode, but an episode earlier this week doing the preview. I think that was Wednesday. OU, if they want to win this game, they're going to have to take away Grant, the running back for Nebraska. He's, I think, second or third in the country going into this weekend as the leading running back in all of FBS. He's 428 yards, 5 touchdowns in 3 games. It's pretty efficient. He's averaging, well over 100 yards a game. OU has to take him away. And the question will be, are they going to have to load the box to do that? Are they going to put an extra person, or are they going to be able to drop back and have another safety or defensive back there? I think that they can. I think what you're going to see Jeffrey Johnson, Jalen Redmond, Isaiah Coe, Jordan Kelly really take away the interior rushing lanes. And I think they're going to be able to bottle him up. He, in my opinion, has to be the number one priority in this matchup for OU's defense.
Definitely. And again, we mentioned this in the preview, like the defensive line, they've done amazing over the first 2 games in stopping the run, and they need to keep doing that for this game. Because like you mentioned, if they let Grant start doing whatever he wants in the running game, it makes it so much easier for Casey Thompson to open up the field for him. And Whipple is a good offensive coordinator. Like, this could very much be a high-scoring game where we needed the defense to just make 1 or 2 plays, and the offense has to just stay hot. Like it's gonna have to be one of those games that it's gonna be a more exciting game for sure. We might see a lot of scoring, but the defense is gonna at some point need to make a couple plays for Oklahoma to win. I don't know if we can win it for sure just by keeping them to less than I don't know if I doubt that they would score less than 3 touchdowns on Oklahoma. I don't know if it'll be like they're gonna be very much spread out. I hope so. I think that if we let them score 3 touchdowns in the first half, then it's going to be a much closer game than any of us want it to be. But if it's a touchdown a quarter and then shut them out in the fourth, then it should be an easy day for Oklahoma and probably cover the spread like you went with and not really be a stressful day and hopefully start getting more of the national media to stop questioning Oklahoma so much because that's been even with Oklahoma like we're undefeated for some reason it's like not worth it, right? Like you might as well have not even played those games for Oklahoma. You would have been ranked where you are now regardless. I just think that this game is going to be a time for Oklahoma to stamp and Brent Venables to say like we're if anything we're actually better than we have been over the last 5 years. We haven't gotten any worse.
I agree, and the Nebraska offensive line has been getting some good push for Anthony Grant to open up these running lanes, and I think you brought it up in a previous video earlier this week was final OU is going to play against a team that, as far as physically, is pretty close as far as the size and the offense and defensive line, and it's going to be somewhat comparable. So this is going to be the first time we're going to be able to see Oklahoma this season go up against a team that can push some people around, can open up some running lanes, and we're going to see what impact has Schmitty had. I think he's had a tremendous impact. I think you're going to be able to see it today. I think OU is going to be able to really just show their dominance. I think finally we're going to see them opening up this playbook. I think they're going to be able to try to control the line of scrimmage again, like Jimmy said. The defensive line is going to have to hold this offensive line under control and bottle up Anthony Grant. And if that ends up happening, I don't think it's close. And if you take Grant away and you make Casey Thompson beat you, it's going to be tough for him to do.
I agree. And looking at Oklahoma's offense, because we've been talking about it in a couple of videos this week, the Nebraska defense is not very good this year. That was kind of their hope coming into the season. Their defense was able to keep games close last year, but their offense was never able to close it out. This year, it seems like their offense is the one doing all the heavy lifting, and their defense isn't able to help them out in any way. So I definitely expect a big game. A name that we really haven't talked about this week is Nick Anderson. Venables, in his press conference early in the week, mentioned that he was hoping to see him get some action this week versus Nebraska. And to me, that shows that he's got a lot of confidence in Nick, but could it mean that they're going to give him more reps than Jaden Gibson, a guy that's been there healthy over the last 2 weeks? I know it's not Nick's fault that he's been hurt, but availability is the best ability, and can't really, if Gibson's been there and they're kind of equal in talent, you gotta give him the nod, right?
I think so. And at the end of the day, you have to play the best person that can contribute the most immediately. And if Nick Anderson's that guy, I think so. I'm curious to see when they open up this offense, who does get all these, some extra playing time, who really figures it out and really starts excelling on the field. And Nick Anderson, he's tall, he's not small. Both him and Jaden Gibson are on the bigger side. The question will be, does Braden Willis have a big game today? Who in that receiving core? I'm going to consider Braden Willis in that receiving core. Who has the biggest day today? Who do you think? Hey, you're muted.
Thank you. I think it's Marvin Mims that has the big game, but Willis has to have a big game for himself. Not just will it help open up the wide receivers if he's starting to dominate the middle of the field, but having Braden have a good game will 100% help Oklahoma's chances with Malachi. Going back to the recruiting aspect of this game, because it's crazy that Oklahoma is getting, in a way, it's getting a visitor even though it's an away game. That you kind of got to show out. I know it's not Braden. It has nothing to do with Braden. He probably doesn't care. I'm sure he hopes that the guy comes to Oklahoma, but it's not something that he's thinking about. Going into the game like, I need to have a good game so that Oklahoma can get this big time recruit. Like, that doesn't matter to these guys. I would assume it doesn't, at least. Not trying to get in their thoughts or anything, but if he has a good game, that definitely helps Malachi's perception of, oh, they're actually going to use me as a big body receiver. The only thing he'll have to work on is his blocking, because he is more of a receiving guy. Luckily, pretty talented when it comes to playing in the trenches as a defensive lineman. So I'm sure he'll be able to pick up some blocking techniques pretty quickly once he starts working on that, if he does commit to Oklahoma.
And I mean, obviously Marvin Mims, everyone expects him to have a big game every game, but I would like to see, excuse me, I'd like to see, is this Theo Weiss's game where he's going to start to break out? He's caught a few balls each game, and it's just been 30, 40 yards here and there, nothing too wild. I would like to think that they're going to put such an emphasis on Mims that Weiss is going to have to be open. I'd like to see Weiss take that next step and be a guy that is a go-to guy for Dylan Gabriel in a big-time game in a hostile environment. And it's critical for OU to get off to a fast start. And I hope, whether they receive the, opening kickoff or not, I'm not sure. I would like them to win the coin toss and defer to the second half. But, I mean, at the end of the day, starting off quickly. And I hope that Theo Weiss is a part of that quick start. And everyone, I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska tries to take away Mims and, double cover him. And someone has to step up. And I want to see Weiss be that guy.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely time for Weiss to get more opportunities here, and it could be his game, and it wouldn't be a bad game to do it in. Probably going to be one of the most watched games this weekend. Another point here, the running back situation. I don't think it's been a controversial topic, but it's definitely been a topic with a lot of fans. Is Marcus Major the better guy? Should he be getting more reps? If you guys have been watching our channel for probably the last 2 months, my stance on it. Brum's stance on it. I think Marcus Major, and I've said it. I said it, I think, in a video, in our Monday video. He's established himself at least as a running back too. The only thing that would take that spot away from him is injury. Hopefully that doesn't happen. He's kind of separated himself definitely from Javonte Barnes, a guy that myself and Brandon, who's not here, were really high on, potentially getting a lot more reps. I don't think Javonte is going to get completely phased out of the game plan, but definitely only going to get a couple of carries, and that's when the game is more in control for Oklahoma. I don't think still that Major, with how the coaches speak so highly of Eric Gray, that Major will be the running back one. Something would have to happen to Eric Gray. Again, probably some sort of injury or having fumble issues where Major is promoted up to RB1. But we're definitely going to see Major a lot, especially in short yardage and red zone. I mean, we saw it last week. His touchdown was in the red zone, and he is shifty. I just think Eric Gray gives him more versatility with the passing game. He's a better receiver out of the backfield.
Like I've been saying, I definitely have been high on Eric Gray. I think he's going to have over 1,200 total yards this year. I'm going to stick by it, and I think he's clearly running back one. I do think that Marcus Major, I agree, he's RB2, and I've been saying that he's going to be RB2 for a while now. He's got all the talent in the world, Short yardage, and he's a good change of pace back. And I think they're going to be heavily relied on, especially if this offensive line struggles. And if you need someone, a running back, to pick up a linebacker rushing or picking up a block, both of them can pick up blocks. They can make a block, and they're going to be critical to do that. And Oklahoma might need them because this offensive line has not been the best. And if you see this offensive line struggling, they're probably going to have a running back there with Dylan Gabriel a lot of the time to pick up, a broken, missed block here and there. I just think, you need to have this offensive line obviously play at a high level. This Gray major, who's RB1, who's not. I think that Gray is the RB1 because he's more the all around back, and he's just shown it, and he's been here, for a while, and he's done it. Major hasn't been a guy who's done it for a while. He's just finally starting to put together a couple good games back to back. Um, I get some people thinking that he's running back one. I just think that Gray brings that different dynamic that Major might not have quite yet, and that's the pass catching.
I agree, and it's really just the pass catching. If they were a little bit more even in that aspect of the game, Major could definitely take over the RB1 position. Something that one of you guys brought up here is Farooq. He's been talked about a lot recently. Um, Definitely a guy that we were all excited about going to the year. Can he have a big game? I think he needs to, or we're gonna start seeing those younger wide receivers. I mean, we're already seeing Drake Stoops a lot, right? He's already part of the established game plan. But can we start seeing Drake Stoops a little bit more? Take some of Jalil's opportunities. Are we gonna start seeing Jaden Gibson or Nick Anderson start taking some of Jalil's opportunities? I don't know. I think it's just Jalil hasn't gotten the opportunities to make plays. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, Dylan Gabriel just has the receivers that right now that he's going to more. Maybe that's Jalil not getting open quick enough. It's tough to tell sometimes on the TV, just because they don't show the entire field most of the time. But I think Jalil's talented enough when he just needs to capitalize on the few reps he does get, or the few opportunities he does get with the ball, to give confidence for Dylan to keep going to him. I mean, at the spring game, the reason I was so excited about him is because at the spring game, it seemed like they had some sort of automatic connection where they really, like, Dylan, it seemed like, was really trying to target Farooq. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but it really seemed like there was some sort of automatic chemistry there. And I'm sure over the summer and fall, that's been changing over into Marvin Mims and maybe Theo Weiss a bit more. But Farooq is good enough where he can be great. And we've been saying that on this channel for a while now. Yeah, I mean, Marvin Mims is going to light it up today. 100% agree with that. I think Darren, do you think he goes over 150 yards today? I mean, I think 100 yards receiving this week should be easy, given that Nebraska has probably one of the worst defenses in the country. Without seeing the rankings, they just haven't been able to really do much defensively this year. Here, let's see. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Would love to talk about them. Yeah, I think Michael here, you brought up a good point. The emotions here is the only reason I could see this being a big game, and if this was in Norman, I don't think it would be as close of a game as it was last year. I think that's one thing that when we hear these, ESPN, Fox talk about Oklahoma, Nebraska, sometimes they'll refer to last year's game, but last year's game is not the same as this year's game. Completely different coaching staff, completely different mentality. If you look at the teams as their own individual entities, I just don't think that it's fair to judge this Oklahoma team versus Nebraska to what happened last year, because last year Oklahoma struggled on, it seemed like, in every game except for the Texas Tech game, and either the offense couldn't get it going or the defense was giving up too many plays. Who knows what the issues were in the years before, but I think this year going into the game, it's really just the key is getting off to a quick start. If we start slow like we did last week, that's when things can get dangerous.
For sure. Sorry, I had to step away for a second.
You're good.
But yeah, like I've been saying, that I do think that if you don't have a quick start and an efficient start, this is where the game could get dangerous. And you give, if this first quarter, if it's zero, maybe 7-7, 10-7, it's really close. That's when you start to let Nebraska and their fan base start to believe, and you let this crowd start to get into the game and become a factor. So it's critical for OU to be able to run the ball, be able to control the line of scrimmage, and just play efficient football and make open field tackles. They've been doing it. They just need to do. They just need to continue to do so, and they need to bottle up the wide receivers. Woody Washington and Jaden Davis and Billy Bowman and Key Lawrence. I'm not 100% sure about Key Lawrence, but Justin Broyles. Can they take care of Trey Palmer and Marcus Washington? They're both transfers, one from LSU, one from Texas. Those guys are going to have to be taken care of, and to take them away. I mean, I know it's literally, you take the running back Grant away, Trey Palmer, Marcus Washington. Those are the three big contributors on this Nebraska offense. And you have to take those three guys away. And I think you're going to see Woody Washington just match up with whoever's on his side of the field. And then they're going to try to maybe help out a little bit more with Davis against whether it's Palmer or Washington. Because, Washington's 6'2", Palmer is 6'1", Marcus Washington's a little bit bigger, and Jaden Davis is a little bit on the smaller side. So he might need just a little bit of help containing them.
Yeah, definitely. Here's another question. We've talked about it once, probably a couple times now this week, but if Matt Tower struggles, who comes in to replace him? Brum, you want to kick it off with that one?
Yeah. We talked about it a little bit earlier this week. I do think that if Met Tower struggles and he's going to get maybe a quarter or two, he might get the first half. And I know that Wanya Morris is going to be back, so it might be a little bit of a time for them to gel together. But if he struggles, I think Robert Kongol would be the first option. He might not give you the highest ceiling, but he'll play sound football. And then another guy could be Savion Byrd. Byrd is huge. He plays with an attitude. He's pretty nasty as far as that's what Coach B likes along that offensive line. Or I remember a couple years ago when OU had that dominant offensive line, like with Cody Ford and Creed Humphrey and everything else. They were dominant, and they would drive people into the ground. I think Savion Byrd is that type of player, and I could see Byrd or Kongol coming in. But I really just hope that Met Tower just can settle in. But it's going to be a tough environment for him to do so. If he hasn't been able to do it at home, and granted, it's not been the full, starters in the normal lineup, it gets pretty concerning.
Yeah, and then Jimmy had another question. I don't want to ignore it before we go on, but I think it's a quick one. Redshirting Sawchuk seems like it's the likely thing this year. He came in late. He did gain a lot of weight in his short time at Oklahoma so far, but with the talent in front of him, I just don't know where he gets his opportunity. I think he's going to be a big piece of the offense next year.
I agree. I mean, there's too much talent at the top end of this with Eric Gray and Major, and then even Javante Barnes to really waste one of Sawchuk's years of eligibility. You might as well redshirt him, let Gray go to the NFL, and then Major, probably will stay, might transfer, might go to the NFL, just depending on how the season ends. And then next year you let him and Barnes and potentially Major compete for, the running back rotation there.
Agreed. So Blake Gordon, do we keep them under 14 today? What do you think, bro?
I I don't think so. I don't think
If we
so.
keep them under 14, this game shouldn't even
It's
be close.
ugly. It's
Yeah,
ugly if OU does
like
it.
probably turn it off towards the end of the fourth quarter if there's another big game you want to watch, unless you just really want to see see it all the way to the end. If Oklahoma holds them to 14, I could see Oklahoma also scoring like 45 plus.
I don't think so. It would be really impressive. At the end of the day, they've got talent with Palmer and Washington and Grant out of the backfield. And Casey Thompson has carved Oklahoma up before. It wouldn't be the first time. But the thing is they could, but OU hasn't played played a team this so far this year that is somewhat physically comparable. And not that they're going to play bad. I think my score prediction was 38-24. I think Nebraska will be able to move the ball a decent amount just because it's a big environment. They're going to be juiced up. They just had a coaching change. They finally got rid of Scott Frost. I think they're going to be ready to play, and I think that OU will win by cover the spread. I just think that they're going to give up a handful. They're going to give up a couple touchdowns that make you like, really, what? Why you do that? Why did you do that? Um, but I think when it comes time to OU making a play on defense, they'll get the necessary stop late in the game.
Yeah, sorry. Blake had another question here about the weather. I'm trying to look it up because I'm not watching the big noon kickoff. It looks like it's raining right now,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
was.
supposed to be clearing up. I don't think the weather's going to be too big of a factor. Maybe, um, the ground being a little bit more, being a lot softer than it may be. I'm assuming Nebraska has real grass on their field. Um, if
No,
that's the case, then
it's
is it
turf.
artificial? Okay.
Hmm.
Then yeah, I don't think it makes that big of a deal. Maybe things are a little bit more slippery, but hopefully it dries up by halftime where the player's footing might be the only issue to start the game. But I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
I'm looking at 11 o'clock. It's supposed to be 70 and partly cloudy. 12-mile-an-hour winds. Could get a little windy. I don't know what the gusts are going to get up to. That could be a little interesting. As far as for the running or for the throwing aspect of this game, they might rely a little more on this running back duo of Gray and Major. I saw Jason Gray runs for 150 yards. Y'all's thought? I don't know if he runs for 150, but I think he'll get close in the total yards category. He might run for like 75 and catch for 35, 40 yards. I think he'll have over 100 total yards. I just think that Gray won't get the opportunities because Marcus Major is going to be coming in and giving him some breaks and being the change of pace back.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough for Eric Gray to get 150 yards because he does get that, the last 25 yards in a way taken away from him since Major is given those opportunities. So you'd have to make a lot of big runs to get over 150 just rushing yards. But yeah, all-purpose yards, 100%. I think that is very, very possible for him. He's gone over 100 yards rushing the first two games. I mean, I think he can definitely do it again, given that if Oklahoma's offensive line can just physically dominate in the run blocking, then he should be very easily getting, doing his average of like 6 to 7 yards per carry, which is what he's gone. I think he's in the mid sixes per carry right now on average. Let's see here. I mean, what it looks like, I'm not Richard Young here. He might be. Seems like he might be in Lincoln. It's a shout out for watching while you're close by all the action. Um, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's clearing up according to our Google searches. Let's see how many sacks and I don't know is that interceptions and tackles for loss are we getting today? All right, looks like Brum's having a little bit of internet issues, so we're gonna go through it anyways. But sacks, I mean, I think we could get four or five sacks today. The interceptions part, I want Oklahoma to be turnover machines, but through the first two games we've gotten, and first one Gentry Williams got it at the end where it really just seemed like UTEP was trying to do its best to keep the game close on the score sheet at the end of the game, and he was able to snag one in the red zone or in the end zone. Harrington made a great play last week to get a pick. So hopefully that's a trend, forward. But I don't know if we're gonna get too many picks in today's game. There's definitely a chance because they're probably gonna be trigger happy with getting the ball out if Oklahoma's running defense is as good as it has been over the first two games. Tackles for loss, a lot of them. Danny Stutzman is a man possessed. I think that guy's going to have an absolute game today.
Am I back? I mean, I've heard you the entire time. That was interesting. Sacks, 4 or 5 probably total. Interceptions, I'm not going to necessarily hold my breath. Maybe one. I think, Casey Thompson's obviously made the critical interceptions or making a critical interception in an opportune time. Tackles for loss, there's going to be a lot. It's going to be, I think this defense, yeah. I mean, this defense is going to play extremely well. They're going to be motivated. Danny Stutzman's going to be flying around the field. I feel pretty confident with this defense. I'll tell you what, if it was last year, I'd be terrified to go to Lincoln just because of the team might not be motivated, might not be, whatever. I know this team's going to come out and play hard, and I know that they're going to be ready to play. And whether they win or not, I guess that's up for debate. But I think they take care of business comfortably, cover the trenches or cover the spread, and win the trenches.
For sure. Jimmy with another question here. Who's the leading tackler today? That's a tough one. I think just looking at the first two games, Billy Bowman and Danny are the ones that make a lot of those plays. I don't really see it changing in today's game. I think Danny might edge him out, depending on the game plan. I didn't see if Nebraska's tight end is playing today, so I think that would help Danny in getting and leading the team with tackles. But I'm going to pick Danny just because I believe that Casey Thompson is going to try to make a lot of plays with his feet to try to kind of be the hero here, especially if they are down early. And then just, the running game, I think he'll be the main contributor there in stopping the run.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I think who your leading tacklers are who the tacklers have been leading for the first two games. So I agree with Stutzman, Bowman. Could someone like Deshaun White have a pretty darn good game? Maybe. It's going to be interesting to watch. Do you want to talk some general college football a little bit? Maybe.
Yeah.
We talked a lot of OU, Nebraska, and rightfully so. I'm excited, but there's also some games that I'm interested in. First, I guess we were doing the betting. My first one went last night, Florida State. Did you watch any of that game?
I saw I think I saw most of the first half. I didn't see any of the second, but I got a notification that a DB iced it with a pick at the end. What was the ending score there?
35-31, Florida State. Johnny
cover?
Yeah, so I won that one. Johnny Wilson, that guy. I don't know if anyone else watched this game. Johnny Wilson, he's like 6'7". He's a sophomore wide receiver. He's got 11 catches, 260 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his first 3 games at Florida State, and he's a transfer from Arizona State. And that guy, he is coming onto the scene. So I just wanted to mention Florida State. Let's talk a little Georgia, South Carolina. Do you see South Carolina having any chance with their former quarterback Spencer Rattler?
No, not a chance. I mean, here's the thing. I think going into the year, South Carolina didn't absolutely suck last year. So that went in their favor. Beamer is a good coach. He isn't letting them down. I just don't know. I like they're not clicking for some reason. That offense is not as good as it can be. Spencer Rattler still has the same from the games I've watched, parts of the games that I've watched, he still has the same is making the same mistakes and trying to force the ball where it doesn't need to be. And that's something that I praise Dylan Gabriel for. He's patient. He has the maturity to be patient. I mean, if for somehow Beamer can get them to click today, then there's a chance. But the Georgia is just too good. I don't think that they're even going to give him an opportunity to get any momentum. And the Georgia offense, I mean, last year I think it's fair to say that the defense won them that national championship. But I think this year they're kind of starting to look a little bit like that LSU team with Joey Burrow and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Patrick Queen. I can't even Caleb on Chase on. I don't even really remember the defense, but they were loaded with talent all over that team. And then this Georgia team is kind of looking like them right now.
And you know what's the problem with Georgia is they struggled with Arkansas last week and they could not win the line of scrimmage. And if you could not win the line of scrimmage against Arkansas, you're going to really have a hard time winning against Georgia. I don't think South Carolina really has much of a chance. I think Rattler's going to be running for his life pretty much, and he's probably going to make throw an interception or two. He just has not. As much as I like Rattler, he just has not been able to really figure it out. I think Georgia wins comfortably 25, 30 points probably. Nothing that's really, really close. I don't even know what the spread is on that game, but I'm just guessing, 25, 30 points on that. I am trying to look at.
I don't know why I didn't bet that game in our video yesterday because I definitely bet that game in real life. On the spread, I think Georgia is going to blow them out.
Yeah. No,
and if you guys have any, real quick, sorry, bro.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have any games that you want us to talk about, throw them in the chat and we will try to get to them because we're only interested in so many games. Maybe you guys are wanting to hear a little bit about other games around college football. What's another game you want to hit on, bro?
I think a good one to talk about and people will have some interest in is at 2:30 BYU Oregon. I think that game's got some interesting aspects to it. Bo Nix with Oregon, can he show up in the big game? BYU's coming off an emotional win against a top 10 Baylor at the time. BYU's going on the road. Can Bo Nix actually not turn the ball over, play good against a really good team? I don't know. Maybe he could. I don't know where this game's going to go. That's the thing is I can see BYU winning. I can see Oregon winning. Oregon's got talent all across the board. BYU's just a solid team, and I just don't know. It's Bo Nix to me. Can Bo Nix finally do something? And he looked horrendous in week one. And granted, I think they played Eastern Washington last week, so it doesn't take much to make Eastern Washington look bad. But I just don't know where this game's going to go. I'm curious what people have to say in our chat about this game.
I agree with Matt here. Bo Nix might be one of the worst college quarterbacks in this year. I think BYU wins it pretty handedly. Dan Lanning just has not shown to be the right guy, and he is very young. Maybe he just needs to turn this thing around. Kind of being in one of those situations where he needs to bring in his guys, and he really hasn't been able to. He did get some of them in this last class. I just don't think that this is the game. I think BYU is going to do everything it can to show that they need to be taken seriously this year, and potentially get into the college football playoff conversation at the end of the year. I don't know their schedule like the back of my hand, but Oregon, I'm sure, is probably one of their tougher matchups for this year.
I will say, and I can go through the BYU schedule because I was looking at this. BYU's got quality opponents all across the board. So they already beat Baylor, who is number 9. They've got Oregon, who's 25. Later this year, they have Notre Dame, and say what you will about Notre Dame, but the College Football Playoff Committee loves when someone beats Notre Dame just because of the name. Then they play Arkansas. They are at home. They host Arkansas. That's a pretty good team. They're a top 10 team, and those are their big games. So they've got already one Big 12 win. Could they beat a Pac 12 team? Could they beat an SEC team? Um, maybe, and then they beat an independent team in Notre Dame. I don't see this team going to the playoffs. I'm not buying the hype at all. I think that they're bound to trip up, and it might be today. I honestly think that Oregon's going to beat them today. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be like 27-24 Oregon. I just don't. I think BYU's coming off an emotional double overtime win, going on the road out to Eugene, hostile environment. I just don't see BYU winning this one.
I just don't believe in Bo Nix, and that's really my only reasoning here. Before we get to another game, because I think the next game that we should cover is Miami and A&M.
Yeah.
No, I just got a notification. Nebraska wants Urban. Their fans are yelling, "We want Urban." I mean, I don't know if that would be the worst hire in history. He definitely didn't make a good name for himself at the pro level, but that dude wins at the college level. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, he wins. He wins a lot. But if you're Urban Meyer, would you really want to go coach at Nebraska? Because a guy like him at the college level, if he wanted to say he wanted to come back, every other most programs that don't have a pretty good head coach would come calling, and he would have his ability to choose whatever school. I mean, he might get the ability to choose A&M after A&M loses today to Miami. Jimbo might get bought out because he's already on the hot seat. I mean, it's not hot. It's starting to get a little warm. You can't get these great recruiting classes and then go 8-4, 7-5, 9-3 every year and think that's going to be okay for Texas A&M. I don't blame Nebraska for wanting Urban. He's not the best guy as far as person goes, but he's a good football coach. He's an interesting guy. It does not surprise me that Nebraska wants him, because if Nebraska wants to come back to relevancy, nationally, they're going to need a coach with that reputation as far as being a great football coach, where recruits will flock to him, because Nebraska can't sell the program and the location. It can't do it anymore.
I wonder if at this point Urban coming back would be like Les Miles. It was Les Miles, right? The LSU head coach going to Kansas, and having that. They're both very old school, very much like they kind of want to control every aspect of the team, that's kind of how it was at one point. I'm sure that's why they picked up that habit. I just don't know if it'll take with the players nowadays. It might, but with what Urban was doing at the NFL, I don't know if he'll get a chance this quickly. I know he's back on TV. I just don't know if a school will want to take that chance when there's other just as qualified candidates. But A&M would definitely be the place I could see him taking that. Would take that shot with Urban, because Urban, I mean, if they're recruiting this well with Jimbo and can't win, Urban can recruit just as well, if not better, and has shown he can win. But let's talk about that Miami A&M game. I said it earlier in the week. If Jimbo Fisher loses to Miami and then proceeds to probably lose two or three SEC games, there's no way that dude has a job at the end of the year. I think the A&M and their boosters will just suck it up, pay him all his money to get him out of there and go hire someone that can win. And it would more than again, Urban Meyer might be a candidate there, but probably looking at one of Nick Saban's assistants, maybe even Brian. What's his name? The offensive coordinator.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. Yeah, maybe he would be the guy to take over at A&M. What do you think, bro?
I don't I don't know. Yeah, someone Les Wilson said he has a $90 million buyout. I don't know exactly what Jimbo's buyout is. If it's truly $90 million, I don't think that'll happen. I don't think he'll get bought out. Uh, but it is his seat is going to get extremely hot. I have to start when talking about Texas A&M. How weird, and this is what I've always thought growing up. How weird is it about Texas A&M and M and their yells and things like that? It gives the weirdest vibes to me. And these videos of them coming out, what their yell was last night, it was weird. I don't get it. Um, it's odd, and it's a cult, and I'm going to stand by that. I think it's really weird. Um, Jimbo, Jimbo, he built his name around Florida State when he had Jameis Winston. When Jameis Winston came in as a freshman, and he was, a top guy. Um, since then, and I guess Okie Trades just is bringing it up too. He hasn't really done a whole lot. I mean, you're never going to get a horrendous season where he's going to go like 4-8, anything like that. He's going to put together solid seasons, but unless he's just got the tremendous amount of talent around him, which arguably the last class was, but you also can't expect a class to come in and immediately play week one for every position. Maybe next year they might be okay. I don't know. I don't think A&M's great, and there always will be a joke. They're kind of like Texas. Um, I don't know. They think that money fixes everything.
Yeah, A&M is. I said it. I think it was in our last video. A&M is the Dallas Cowboys of college football. They have a ton of hype every year going to the season, and then they go 8-4. Still get just absolutely slaughtered by the good SEC teams, no matter how much talent is on their squad. I think I was talking to a buddy last year. If it wasn't for them beating Alabama last year, Jimbo Fisher might already be gone. Like, there's no reason why he should still have the job after not being able to take. I mean, the team doesn't stink talent wise. They have plenty of talent. He can't put it together. I don't know what it is with him, but he just can't put that shit together down at College Station.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. I mean, I love it. I love to see A&M struggle. I love seeing Texas struggle. And the more that they struggle, the more likely that OU is going to win out on big recruits and not really have much competition, i.e., David Hicks. And David Hicks is going to be back at Texas A&M this today. He went to last week's game, so he watched Texas A&M lose to App State. Now he's going this week, and how funny would that be if they lost to Miami? And also, this has implications of Peyton Bowen's recruitment too. He's looking at A&M, and he's there as well.
Yeah,
So let's go Canes. As much as I can't stand Miami, don't get me wrong, I don't like Miami, and obviously there's a lot of history between OU and Miami. Uh, but just for today, come on,
yeah,
Miami, take care of business.
I
Jimmy,
agree.
what kind of dog do I have? He's a Lhasa Apso. He's a small dog. He's about 15 pounds.
Show him off,
Um,
dude.
show
We
him
hear him on the
off.
show all the time.
Yeah, here he is. He's a problem. Small dog.
Look at that guy.
Look at this guy. But
Hope Hopefully Hicks sees them lose. Yeah, I mean, talking about that game with the recruiting implications that kind of impact Oklahoma here. I mean, Billy Bowman is really helping us out here with his performance and getting Peyton Bowen to feel like he should buy into this defense. And yeah, Hicks, I think he already seems to be leaning towards Oklahoma. Todd Bates being the major factor there. I really do. I mean, seeing that defensive line struggle so much against the Appalachian State last weekend, I really don't like what more can you add, right? Like, I feel like their A&M's recruiting pitch would be like, man, we did you see how much we sucked last week? We need you to come shore up our defensive line, even though we got three guys that are just as talented as you last year. We can definitely make you the guy that stops the run.
yeah, I mean, OU, especially if A&M loses again, they're going to have it's going to get easier and easier for them to sell coming to play at Oklahoma, especially if OU takes care of business today. I mean, I'm just sitting here and I'm just thinking, what would it be like if OU goes in and beats them by 21, 28 points today? I'm going to be feeling great. If OU comes in and makes a statement win tonight, and we're going to go back to this game now because those are kind of most of the games I want to talk about, unless something you had another game to talk about.
No.
If OU rolls in and beats Nebraska by 21, 28 points, even though Oklahoma or Nebraska hasn't been that great, I think you're going to start to see the national media buy into this team, and you're going to start to see the hype. And I say buy into this team. OU's number 6 right now. I mean, I'm acting as if OU's like number 24. No, I think you're going to start to see. Wait a minute, Oklahoma's going to win the Big 12 again. Dylan Gabriel's good. The defense is much improved. I really think if OU on a national stage on Fox, 11 o'clock, a little over an hour from now, rolls in, beats them by 3 or 4 touchdowns, you're going to start to see this team start to get a lot of love. And then they're going to get another chance next weekend at 7 o'clock prime time on Fox to make another statement win. If OU goes back-to-back here, makes statement wins, you're going to see the national media really start to hype up this team.
Definitely. I agree. Quick thing from Jason here. He's got a lock of the day for us. Rutgers versus Temple. Temple winning. Kurt Warner's son, I guess he goes there. And he's starting his first game today. So good luck to that guy. Hopefully it hits for you, Jason. I don't know enough about either of those teams to put money on them. But, I mean, hopefully you're right. If you are, then we might start needing you to send us some picks on some of these more obscure games for us, because that would be a hell of a hit.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think, Jose? Do you think you take a couple more questions and let people kind of disperse and get ready for the game? Maybe just a couple more?
Yeah, we're going to go right up until 10 o'clock. We got a few more minutes. Just chat. If you guys have questions, throw them down there. Throw them in the comment section. Make sure to hit the like button. And then let's see. What else would we hear? We're going back to A&M. The fact A&M has all the D-line talent, and that is why they roll out this points to coaching or overrated players. I'm going to OU for good coaching, among other things. Yeah, I mean, Todd Bates is that dude at coaching offensive or defensive lineman, and Chavis is a huge personality that kids seem to really like. I mean, really don't see any reason why defensive linemen at least entertain the idea of coming to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and with Todd Bates and Venables and this Clemson staff and their reputation, it helps tremendously.
If OU loses, then what? Do you want to take it?
If OU loses, I hope it's in a tight game and it's not embarrassing. If OU loses, it's not the end of the world. I think in the beginning of the season I said 10-2 for the regular season, just because there's going to be ups and downs in this season. Obviously, I'm very hopeful. I'm saying OU minus 11 here. There is a chance that OU does lose today, and if they do, I think they'll bounce back. And at the end of the day, you can't ask a team to go perfect in their first season with a first-time head coach and still trying to turn the program around.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a huge deal if Oklahoma loses. I think it'll kind of just fall back into what, again, most of national pundits believe, which is Oklahoma just isn't quite there yet. But if we win today, here's one thing, I guess. If we win today, would that be such an emotional win that it might hurt us versus Kansas State next week? Or would that be momentum? I think it might be momentum, but the emotional win thing might definitely be in play here if it's a super close game.
I think it's a momentum builder because I think Venables will be able to try to turn the page with this team to the next week. Matt asked
about the line.
I think tremendously. I think he makes a tremendous difference. Morris has all the talent in the world, and I think he's going to establish himself as the. It's obvious he's the number one guy after today. You're going to see him be able to play extremely well.
Big facts there, Jimmy. It might be a 30-pack day.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw Matt Bainham
here,
asked if A&M loses today, does that help with David Hicks? I believe it does. How many turnovers does OU have today? I think one.
yeah, I'm gonna go with one. We just haven't been like big on turnovers this year, which isn't a big deal. We're stopping the ball. We're getting a lot of 3-and-outs. Yeah, I'll go with one as well. I mean, all right. It is 10 o'clock Central, 8 my time. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys all for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we are going to try to do these pregame shows every single game as long as neither of us are attending the game. If you guys want a chance to win K-State tickets, not only will you probably watch a really exciting game in college football, but the Selman Brothers statue is being unveiled next weekend, so it'll be a cool opportunity to see that. If you want an opportunity to win those tickets, make sure to go to either our Friday's video or Wednesday's video. You can enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets. You can go, you and a friend, you and your wife, you and maybe you have a niece or nephew or son or daughter you want to take, whoever you want to take, you have a chance to win 2 tickets to the K-State game. Check those videos out to get an opportunity to win, and we will be announcing those winners on Monday's video. Outside of that, make sure you are following on Twitter, Instagram. If you listen to the audio version, make sure that you're following or subscribing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a review. That helps us out a lot, so we can keep growing all these platforms. We appreciate your guys' support. We truly do. We'll see you guys on Monday for our reaction video.